This entire task dashboard was generated with AI using a single prompt, and by updating the code a bit, it's now fully powered by n8n. Watch this. I refresh, n8n runs, grabs all my tasks from a data table, bundles them into a list, and sends them straight to the dashboard. When I add a new task, like organize my email inbox, n8n will classify it, save it to the table, and then trigger a second run to instantly refresh the list. I'm going to show you exactly how you can set this up and integrate any n8n workflow into any custom dashboard, even if you don't know how to code. First, I'll show you how to get everything set up and generate any kind of dashboard that you want. Then we'll build the n8n workflow step by step, and finally we'll integrate the workflow into our web app. Later in the video, I'll show you how you can download this workflow in the Codebase for free. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Let's get this video started. Here's the plan. These are the tools you'll be signing up for or downloading today. But don't worry, this whole setup will just take a few minutes and I'll walk you through each step. So firstly, we need a way to generate some starter code quickly. We don't want to waste time setting up folders manually, especially with the AI tools we have nowadays. I'm using Lovable, which lets us spin up an app in seconds. Now, as a seasoned software engineer, I wouldn't and haven't ever used Lovable to build an actual full-fledged app with complex features, but I think it's great at generating boilerplate code at the start of a project, especially if it's just a simple dashboard or prototype. You can customize the prompt, click a button, and it writes the code for you. In our example today, we'll be building a simple task management app, and I have already generated this code using the prompt here. With Next.js, TypeScript, TanStack query, and Tailwind setup, make me a very simple dashboard that allows a user to enter a task and click a button to upload it. So here is what it generated. This is the dashboard. It looks pretty good in my opinion. And if you click this button, you can see the actual code here. If I wanted to change the button color, I could just ask Lovable to do that and it would do a great job. Next, we need a place to store this code in the cloud. Yes, Lovable keeps it in their cloud, but editing there requires a paid subscription, which you totally can do. But for the sake of keeping things free in this video, we will go another route and use GitHub. So go ahead and sign up for GitHub, create your account, then back in Lovable, we'll go to our settings and click GitHub under integrations. Then you can follow the prompts here to connect to your account. And once it's connected, you'll be able to view it on GitHub. And here is our code in the cloud on GitHub. Awesome. Now let's grab a code editor so that we can actually open and make updates to this project on our computer. I'm using VS Code, which is free, super popular, and perfect for beginners. So go to the VS Code website and download it. Then follow the install prompts and you should be good to go. The application will look something like this on your computer. Back in GitHub, we're going to download our code as a zip file. And by the way, your project might have a different name, which is fine, as long as the project is here. So click this and click download zip. Find your downloads folder, double click the zip file to unzip it, then drag that new folder into VS Code. Boom, there's our code in a beautiful code editor. But how do we run it? Well, we need a way to actually run code on our computer, and that's where Next or Node.js comes in. It's what lets us run JavaScript outside the browser. So go to the Node.js website and download it, then install it by following the prompts. Once it's installed, let's check if it's working by opening our integrated terminal in VS Code and then running node-v. If you see a version number, you're good to go. If you don't see a version number here, don't panic. On some systems, especially Windows, you might need to restart VS Code on your computer for Node to be recognized. If you're stuck, leave a comment and I'll try to help. Node comes with npm, which is our package manager. It's what lets us install and run JavaScript libraries. With Node and npm installed, we can run npm install in our terminal, and that will install all the dependencies that Lovable added to our project. Once that finishes, run npm run dev, and that will start our Next.js project locally. And this right here, localhost 8080, is the link we go to see our app running locally. Now, anytime we make updates in our code base, we will see our app update instantly. So right now it says task dashboard, and I'm gonna save this file as my task dashboard. And back in the browser, we see it updated. Now that we're up and running, we can talk about how to integrate any of our n8n automations into this custom web app. Here we are inside of an n8n workflow. And this node here is a webhook trigger node, and it is the key to integrating our automations into our app. I'll open up the configuration here, and you see at the top, there's a webhook URL given to us. If I copy this and then paste it into the browser, we get a response right from our workflow. And it's telling us, click the execute workflow button on the canvas, then try again. So let's go do that. We'll click execute workflow, and it says waiting for you to call the test URL. So we'll go back to the page, refresh, and there we go. Workflow was started. We just successfully communicated with our n8n workflow from an external source. That's the power of webhooks. Let's actually output something meaningful from this workflow and see what happens. So in the webhook, I'll set it to respond when the last node finishes so that it returns the data of the last executed node. Basically, instead of responding immediately, it'll wait until all the nodes in our workflow finish loading, and then we'll see the output of the final node on this page here. So quickly, let's set up an edit fields node, edit fields, that will return a simple status success. Now we'll execute the workflow, and it says waiting for you to call the test URL. So back on this page, we'll refresh, and boom, status success. So I hope you can see how that is working. This is kind of how the internet works. It's just servers that are calling other servers by using URLs, and by doing that, data is sent and retrieved all over the world. I know it's definitely a bit confusing at first, but bear with me. What we're going to do next is hook up our app to call this webhook URL so that we can use the data returned from n8n in our code. Here we are back in VS Code, and here in this React component, we'll use the tanstack query useQuery hook to call our webhook when the component mounts. If you don't understand any of this, that's okay. I just want you to see the process and the outcomes. You can learn the details later. So let's get this useQuery hook going. So we're going to use the fetch function in this useQuery hook. So like this. And then for the parameter, we're going to send in our webhook URL. So back in the webhook, we can grab the URL again and paste it in here. Now, this is very similar to what we did earlier when we pasted the URL in the browser, except now we're just doing it within the code and then assigning it to a variable, which will return here, and then it's assigned to this variable. And then we'll put this variable into our JSX like so. So to recap here, we're using the useQuery hook and we're calling the fetch function. So whenever this page gets loaded, this fetch function is going to be called, and it's calling our webhook URL, which will initiate our n8n workflow, right? And so we're waiting the workflow to finish running, all the nodes finish, and then the output of the final node will be assigned to this data variable, which we then return from this function, and it's assigned to this data variable. And then we pass that to the JSX, and basically the JSX is what is rendered on the screen here. So let's go to our n8n workflow and listen for new events. And then right when we land back on this page, we should see our data. Okay, so obviously something is wrong. We're not getting our data. So I think it's because we didn't properly parse the JSON coming in from our fetch function. So let's do that and then try again. And there we go. We got status success. Awesome. I think it's about time that we do something useful. So let's build an actual workflow for this task app. So when the user enters their task and clicks add task, we're going to send that data, in this case, walk dog, to the actual n8n workflow so that we can use it in our workflow to do something like add it to a database and have AI generate a summary of all of our tasks, something like that. In the code, there's a function for handling when a task is added. It's called handle task add, and the parameter task text is from the input here. So let's add the fetch function here with our webhook, and then we'll configure it like so. Since we need to send data to the webhook, we have to make this a method post. This is different than before because before it was a method get because we were only receiving data from the webhook. Then we need to define this header content type application/JSON so that the data we send can be in JSON format. In short, JSON is a standardized format for sending data around the internet. Then here's where we send the data in the body. Just make sure to JSON.stringify the task and you're good to go. And back in n8n, we'll go to the webhook and go to the settings and allow multiple HTTP requests so that the webhook is able to accept GET requests and POST requests. Since we did this, the node now has two branches, one for GET and one for POST. Let's just delete this edit fields node and we will add a new node here. We'll go ahead and add the AI agent node so that our incoming webhook data, aka the task, will go directly to our AI agent. So first things first, let's add the brain of our agent, which will be the LLM. We'll go ahead and do OpenAI chat model, and we'll just stick with the 4.1 mini, and make sure to connect your credential to your OpenAI account. If you don't know how to do this, then I'll show you real quick. Click create new credential. You'll need an API key. Go to openai.com, log in and go to API platform. Then go to your profile, go to API keys, create a new secret key. Once you have it, you can copy it and then paste it right here and click save, and you'll be ready to go. Also, make sure to have some billing information so that your account will work. From here, we can click save, and then we want to actually see the incoming input data from our webhook. So let's execute the workflow right now and refresh our web page here. Oh, so that did a GET request. We actually want to do a POST request, so let's create a new task. We'll say walk the dog and click add task. Oh, we actually have to execute again. There we go. And we'll do walk the dog again, add task. And the POST request is running, as you can see. Cool. Hello, how can I assist you today? So we have to grab the text from the body here and drag it into our user prompt. And then we'll add a system prompt, which is the instructions for the AI agent. We'll tell it what to do with this incoming user message. We'll say, you're an assistant. The user is going to input their task. Please summarize it. Please summarize it briefly, right? Let's go ahead and execute this. Task, walk the dog. Great. Let's just do one more test for fun. So we'll execute the workflow, and we'll go back to our dashboard and send another POST request to the webhook. We'll say, I need to do my homework. And we'll add this task. And the POST request fired off. Agent's thinking, and we see you need to complete your homework as a task. So I've went ahead and updated the system message here, and I said, you are a task prioritization assistant. Your job is to take a user submitted task and 1, determine importance. Classify the task as one of the following: critical, high, medium, low. And then 2, estimate the duration. Provide a realistic time estimate in minutes or hours for how long it should take an average person to complete. Okay, and then I've made it require a specific output format and added this output parser and gave it this example. So importance is critical, estimated duration is 1 hour, and the task is prepare for job interview. That's tomorrow. So that would be the task the user is inputting, and then the AI agent will give us the estimated duration of 1 hour and the importance of critical. Okay, so every time this AI agent runs and we give it a task, it's going to have this output format. So I think something really awesome we could do is take that structured output and then add it to a database. And for that, we can use the new data tables that n8n just came out with. Data tables are a way to natively store data within n8n without having to rely on some kind of external database like Google Sheets or Airtable. So let's go ahead and create a new data table for this use case. Oh, that was a workflow. We'll go here to create data table, and we'll name it tasks, right? Create that, and we'll add some new columns here. So 1 will be the time estimate, and that will be a string. We'll add the task, and that will be a string as well. And then we'll add the priority, okay? And that will be a string as well. Okay, so now let us go back to our workflow and add another tool. So here are the data tables, and here are all the things we can do with data tables: delete, get, update, insert. So let's do the insert row, and we'll choose our table we just created called tasks. Now let's actually run the workflow again. So we have that. We can see the output here from our AI agent. It's executing, and our output is hi, 15 to 30 minutes, walk the dog. Awesome. And then insert row. We got to drag in the output to their specific columns. So task, we'll go to task, estimated duration, time estimate. Cool. Let's execute this step. And if we go to our data table, it should be added. There we go. Let's delete this one that has no data. But here is our data in the data table. So let's go add one more task and see if this updates. Put that back, get that birthday card for dad. And let's go check our data table. There it is. 10 minutes, get that birthday card for dad, priority high. Real quick, let's look at the latest execution to see how that workflow played out. So as you saw, I clicked add task, get that birthday card for dad, and that's when our workflow executed. The first step is the webhook, and we see the input is headers and the body contains our ID, our text, and our created app. So the next step is the AI agent, where we send the entire webhook output to the agent. And within here, we dragged the text into the user message, and we have our system message that is instructing the model what to do with this text. It structures the output like so, with our importance, estimated duration, and task, then outputs that to the insert row data table node, where we insert the importance, estimated duration, and task into our data table, and it saves. We're done building the post request section of the workflow. Now here's a problem. If I refresh this page, our tasks disappear. They're still in our data table, but the app isn't loading them by default. Let's fix that by setting up the get branch of the webhook. That way, every time this page loads, it'll make a get request to n8n, which will return all of our saved tasks. So in the get branch of our webhook, let's add another node, and we'll search data table, and we'll choose the get rows. And now we'll choose our tasks data table. We'll execute this, and then it's waiting for you to call the test URL. So back in our app, we will refresh, and that'll call our get request, because if you remember earlier, we already set up this useQuery that calls the get method of our webhook. And we just display the data in a string on our page, and that's why it's showing up like this. By the looks of it, it looks like we're just getting one of our tasks instead of both of them. So that's an issue we'll have to solve. And the other thing we'll have to do is structure the output into a list so that we can map through that list down here and display our task items. The reason only one task was sent from our webhook is because this get rows node outputs multiple separate items. That's just the way it works. So to get all the items into one single list that we can return, we'll set up an aggregate node. So search for aggregate, and then in here, you'll select the all item data into a single list. And then when we execute this, our list is assigned to the data parameter in this object. We'll test it out in our app. Let's execute the workflow, refresh, and that's what we want to see. It's a list with our objects. Each object is a task. In our codebase, I've added this new type for our DB task, which is just the structure of our task from our database. And then I've assigned that to the type here on the useQuery. And I'm going to get rid of the tasks in state. And then I'm going to make a new variable for tasks and then map our data coming in from the workflow so that I can send these right into our task list. I'll remove this and I'll save. Then if we refresh after executing our workflow, we see our tasks are in the list here. Let's finally remove all this text up here as well. There we go. Okay, cool. There is our data. So anytime we enter a task, it's going to be added to our data table. And then when we refresh the page, it'll show up here. But one very annoying thing is every time we want to do one of those things, we have to click execute workflow. So let's fix that by making this a production URL and then replacing our webhook string for the fetch methods. Let's actually just make a constant up top. Webhook URL, and we'll assign it to what we just copied. There we go. And then we'll take this variable and pass it here and here. Then we'll just need to come to our workflow and activate it. And we should be good to go. Back in the app, let's add another task. Well, let's just refresh to test. There we go. And we'll add another task that says prepare for job interview. That's tomorrow. We'll add it. The task was added successfully, but it's not showing up here. So we'll refresh, and there it is. If you want to make it refresh as soon as you upload the task, then you can go into the Codebase and use the query client. So call the useQuery client hook, and then below our fetch method here, we'll do await query client dot invalidate queries, and then pass in the same query key that we have here. What that will do is anytime you create a new task with this post request, right after we'll invalidate this query, which will reinitiate this get request, and our task will be updated. So let's try it out. Schedule the team sync meeting. There we go. And we'll try one more. Go to the gym. In any second here, there we go. It's added. Okay guys, before I wrap up the video, let's just look at the executions tab so we can see the lifecycle of our application data. Okay, so if I refresh the page here, a new execution is initiated and it's our get request, right? It gets all the rows, it aggregates them into the list, and it displays it on the screen here. Now, if I go ahead and add a new task, pick up groceries, we'll see in a second that the task is added here and two executions happen. This first one is responsible for the post request. So it's going to talk to our AI agent. It'll generate the estimated duration and importance, and then it'll insert that row into the data table. And the second execution is responsible for refetching the tasks since a new one was added. So we need the updated list on the application. And yeah, that's the whole data flow. If you guys want to go ahead and download this workflow for completely free, along with the code base for the task dashboard, you can head on over to my school community. I have it linked in the description. It's completely free. And what you'll do is come in here and go to YouTube Assets, search for the video you're looking for, and you'll be able to find the JSON files. You'll download this, you'll go to n8n, and you can import the JSON file and have the workflow ready to go. The community is growing fast, and it's full of people who are interested in AI automations and agents. So if that's something that interests you, then definitely click the link in the description and join today. I'll see you in there. If you guys appreciate content like this, then please subscribe and like the video. Depending on the feedback I get from this video, I'll make more content about integrating n8n into custom web apps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.